I gotta apologize publicly then.
You see, stereophonic sound for the home is recorded on two separate tracks, each one giving special emphasis to certain sections of the orchestra, as heard from those positions. Now, when played back simultaneously on two separate systems, the sounds are blended together to achieve a new dimension in sound, impossible to obtain in a monaural recording.
Hi, this is Phil Potempa, and welcome to another edition of Notoriety. We bring to you each week the topics that people want to know about, opportunities, what's to be marked on the calendar, or what you should mark for your checklist of things to do. I'm your host, again, Phil Potempa, columnist for the Post-Tribune, and of course this radio show is the broadcast airwaves equivalent of all the columns, feature stories you'll read in the flagship Post-Tribune, everything captured at chicagotribune.com, and also that ring of suburban newspapers, sometimes even the main run of the Chicago Tribune. Again, you can capture everything at chicagotribune.com to read more about it. We couldn't be here without all the generosity of all the folks that have made it happen over these past years. Our friends that include People's Bank, the Legacy Foundation, and the Past Indiana Arts Commission has been a wonderful partner as well. The arts advocates that are Andy and Sue Arnold, and our own Home Away from Home Theater at the center as well. This broadcast is stamped and it's coming to you on Thursday, March the 19th, 2026. And this day is an extra, extra special day, as I'll remind my co-host today, Tony Panek.
Yeah.
And Luke Miller.
Hello, good morning.
Luke Miller,
Pleasure to be here.
because today marks the exact 9th anniversary of this radio show since it
Whoa.
launched. So how wonderful our legacy continues, and our host, perfectly appropriate, the Legacy Foundation. Kelly Anoe, President and CEO, is here to talk to us about all the things that we should know. And a reminder, if you're not familiar with all the wonderful things the Legacy Foundation stands for and what they do, you'll find out more about it when we visit with our conversation around the table. Some of us are tuned in through the regular radio airwaves at this 12:30 a.m. as we come to you from our Hammond studios. Others of you have the added opportunity from our social media and streaming and YouTube to see what's happening in our studio, our window to the world here as we come to you from the Strachan Van Til studios in Hammond. And you can see our desk is filled with what looks like birds' nests and bird houses, because we're talking about the importance of planning, building a nest egg, and how to feather that nest and do it the right way. So welcome back again to the show, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm honored to be here on your 9th anniversary.
Yeah, that was a little
celebration.
surprise Easter. Even our producer is smiling. So
We
can
should
you
have
believe
cake
this
or
has been
something, I
happening
feel
for
like,
9
you know?
years?
Right,
I
I
was
would have brought
thinking-
an anniversary gift.
Yeah.
if I
I
had
was
known.
thinking champagne, but it's Lent, so we're all being
Okay,
good.
yeah.
I don't. Saturday, we'll see what happens
Too
over the
early.
weekend. That's right. Exactly. So, first of all, give us a little bit of the history for the Legacy Foundation. When it launched, I was there a few years ago for a wonderful dinner event that talked about those milestones and the transition when we were just leaving from one leadership to the other. So, give us a bit of background to start us off, Kelly.
Yeah, Legacy Foundation is the community foundation for Lake County, Indiana. We were founded in 1992, so we're coming up on 35 years of supporting the community. And as a community foundation, we work with really all community members to improve the quality of life in Lake County. And so whether people know or not, you've been impacted by Legacy Foundation and our programs and the initiatives that we support in some way. We work with donors on their charitable giving plans and help connect them to local organizations. We really believe in support in giving locally. There's so many amazing nonprofit or for-purpose organizations here in our community that are doing amazing work, and oftentimes it's really hard for them to get that message out when they're essentially competing with national causes and international and global nonprofits who are also doing great work. That's not taking anything away from what they're doing, but we want to start right here in our own backyard and supporting our own friends and neighbors and communities. And so we work with the donors who are interested in giving to connect them to some of that work that's happening locally. And then we give out grants to nonprofit organizations. So that's then getting those funds out the door to have an impact here in our community. So we work with most of the nonprofits that are here in Northwest Indiana on helping them improve the capacity and capability and of the services that they're providing. And so we do offer program grants and also capacity building grants. We have a learning lab, which is a program to help provide training, networking, and capacity building opportunities for those organizations that we're working with. We work with communities and residents in Lake County. So building leadership development, engagement. We think that engagement is a key piece of building stronger, healthier communities if people are engaged and know what's happening.
Absolutely.
And then we have a couple of other initiatives.
Well, and I like to always say, first of all, the headquarters are based right in Mirabel, right off of Broadway, kind of link around there. So that's where the headquarters are based at. I think of the two L's. A Legacy Foundation represents both leadership and liaison. So you're out there at the forefront for that outreach, but also you serve as a wonderful liaison if, again, an organization needs a go-between. They need somebody to help get their word, and they need to help manage what would be a fund this would be underneath your umbrella, correct?
Yeah, I love that. The two L's. I need to
Yeah,
get you
I-
on our marketing team.
I give that to you today.
Right.
Leadership
Yeah.
and liaison. I think they go well together because that's what I always think of when I have to knock on the door and get advice, and that's what you're there for as well. We should insert this quick commercial for those that say, "Gosh, I need to just learn a little bit more, do my own homework." A website or where they should go to for that information.
Yeah, it's www.legacyfdn. That's frankdognancy.org.
All right, and as our conversation continues.
Well, yeah, you mentioned 1992 Legacy Foundation helping so many not-for-profits out. I mean, before then, and it goes a long way, of course, but like before, and geez, was that kind of the need for getting it started? You noticed all these not-for-profits kind of like, well, trying to find a way, search for grants and whatnot. Something needs to be done here. They probably thought.
Who do you give the nod to when you say legacy?
Yeah.
For who had the light bulb to say, we need to get together, let's create this? Who do you give that credit to?
Yeah, so it really started with the Lilly Endowment. They had the foresight back then to really believe that community foundations are, a key way to be able to build local communities and local support. Lilly Endowment is based in Indianapolis, and part of their giving portfolio, or the strongest piece of their giving portfolio, is Indiana. And so they decided that they wanted one of their key strategies to be to create a community foundation representing every county in Indiana. And so in 1991, they launched the first gift initiative, Giving Indiana Funds for Tomorrow, which offered matching support and administrative support. And it put out a challenge to each county for community leaders to come together and create a community foundation. And we had a group of leaders in Lake County who rose to that challenge. Cal Bellamy, Vern Seehausen, Ed Bradigan were some
All
of the
visionaries.
were some of the first who came together and really decided that they wanted to pull together other leaders to create this endowment for Lake County that would be here forever. And so, it's a community foundation. Most of our funds are endowed, which means that they are a permanent source of support that will, constantly every year generate continued giving for our community.
That's
And
amazing.
Again, each of these
Impressive.
portfolios are different. Folks that listen to this broadcast or read my columns realize that my roots are a little farther even south because I'm Stark County based down that way. At the same time when this initiative was happening, you're right, these foundations were rolling out in Porter County. There's the Porter County variation of it. Way down yonder, we had Stark County, which is now folded up to the Northern Indiana Community Foundation that we use. So to give you just some very simple math, if you are an entity or a group, in my case, I'm part of a scholarship fund that's been around for more than 35 years. We have investments with a couple of different foundations out that way because the yield and the return by putting it as part of that larger umbrella can be so greater and more secure. So perhaps a 6 or 7%, 8% return on an investment when we know that, today if you're lucky, maybe a CD could do 2 or 3%. I know that's very simple math, but that's an example, correct, of what an organization such as yours can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think Lilly Endowment and the leaders in Lake County who came together really had such great foresight in, creating this model. And it's one thing that, Indiana does really well now is that we are the strongest state in the country for community foundations. And, we've now been a model for other states to try to replicate creating that type of structure for community foundation support because it really is such a anchor institution to have in
Absolutely,
the
it's
county.
the model.
And say you're like a non-profit right now listening to this, maybe I'm on the website. It's as simple as just applying for a grant, a lot of information to fill out, and then you review it.
Yeah, so we actually have a grant application open right now,
Okay.
our Transform Lake County grants. And those are made through our unrestricted funds where we're able then to have a grant committee that reviews those applications and recommends grants to our board of directors for funding.
Okay.
And so if an organization is interested in applying for a grant, they can go to our website and apply right now. They are due April 1st.
All right.
So
Good to know.
they would have to move quickly on that.
Mark those
But
calendars.
if you don't get it in this spring cycle, we do have a grant application cycle every 6 months, so you
Okay.
can get it in for the fall one.
Very good. And we'll put a stamp on our broadcast to remind folks we're coming to you on this Thursday, March the 19th, 2026. So, again, when you're circling that calendar, when you're hearing this, if it's a rebroadcast on a later day, later afternoon, over the weekend, you know how to plan accordingly. Luke?
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear such a broad impact that the Legacy Foundation has across Northwest Indiana. But I will say that the first time that I heard about it was as I was graduating from high school, and it was through the scholarship wing. So if you could speak a little bit more about that and how the scholarships that the Legacy Foundation has.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a lot of people know us from certain areas. If you're a nonprofit, you know about our grants. If you're a high school student, you know us as the
Luke was
organization.
searching
that
for
gives
those,
out
yes.
scholarships. So we do give out scholarships to students to attend college. Most of our scholarships are for students that reside in Lake County. However, we do have some that extend through all of Northwest Indiana. So please take a look at our website to see what scholarships we offer and if you're eligible. A lot of times we're able to, we have donors who set up these scholarship funds, and they might be for a very specific thing, like a student who is a swimmer, or a student who plays in band, or who wants to go to school for the arts.
Golf,
And
maybe.
so,
That's what it was.
And golf.
Yeah,
Did you get a scholarship?
well,
Okay.
it was something related to golf. I know that I was on the phone with Jody
Yeah.
Katieva, is that how it's
Yeah,
pronounced? Yeah, I was
Katieva.
on the phone with her a lot for the scholarship process. So I know
Great.
that's a great initiative.
And such a
Alright.
key point that Kelly brings up with each of these foundations, that is really what the mission is. Yes, there needs to be the nest egg to sit and let it grow, but it's meant to keep getting that money back in the community, circulating, not just letting it sit and just become something that grows so substantial just to have a certain number on the ledger, but to get it back out there working. Even with our own scholarship fund, yes, we have our own board of directors and we have our own 501 status classification as well, but we often think down the line, as we continue to age, and none of us are spring chickens, if we were not there, we think, well, what is going to be the fate of our particular scholarship, which has to do with the school that is no longer there, and we have a considerable amount, about $700,000 that is there. What happens? These foundations are a great place for a holding mark. Provide the bylaws, provide what is the criteria, and even if we are not here, you will have folks that will abide by, manage, and make sure those funds continue to give well into the future.
Yeah, and so last year in 2025, we awarded about 1.2 million in scholarships and over 6 million in grants to the
Wow.
community.
That is incredible.
And over our entire history, we've awarded over $50 million in grants
Whoa.
to Lake County. And so it is a big, we make sure that those dollars that we receive do get back out into the community in a way that's most impactful and transformative. And so we are able to, over time, have a really big impact on those with those investments.
Absolutely.
That engagement there you speak of so much too, and at the end of the day, I mean, doing so much good, right? Makes you feel good. I'm looking at the website again, and the community programs. We could be here for a whole hour, probably talking about the community programs because there's so many.
Yeah, we have a number of programs and initiatives that we work with. So in addition to giving out grants and scholarships, we create strategic initiatives that are really based on our strategic priorities and the greatest needs in the community. So we have Community Heart and Soul, which is a national model, but we've brought it to Lake County, and we're the first Indiana community to launch Heart and Soul. So for year one in 2025, we selected Cedar Lake, and we're working with Cedar Lake residents to develop their own quality of life plan, engaging residents around what they want to see for the future of their community, and then we'll be working alongside them to implement that plan. And just a couple months ago, we selected Munster as our second
Wow.
Heart and Soul community.
Okay, so every year,
And,
different community.
We're working with a different community, and it's really then a more targeted approach where we're working with, because each community is different and has
Sure.
different needs, and And residents see different opportunities and assets and also challenges. And so this really kind of gets us on the ground with the community and the residents to get to know them, to get to know what they want, and then gives them a voice
That
in
is great.
that. And so that's one of them.
Luke?
Well, I was going to say that on top of these community programs, that we recently attended a Let's Talk About the Arts. You have these Let's Talk About series of community engagement. It was at Innsbruck, right?
Yes.
And I'm looking, you have these upcoming events. You have one about public safety and crime. So it seems like this is another facet of your organization of
This
having
public
that point.
education.
Exactly, and having people talk about these public issues in a public forum, right?
Yeah, so that's part of our Lake County advancement conversations. We had taken over, some people might be familiar with the Lake County Advancement Committee, and that's a group that was, going for about 50 years. They were coming together to talk about issues impacting Lake County, and they needed somebody to pass the baton to continue operating that. And it fit really well with our work and our strategic goals. And so we have taken it on. We've renamed it from Lake County Advancement Committee to Lake County Advancement Conversations, because the committee sounds like it's exclusive.
Yeah.
And we wanted it to be clear that this is open to anybody to attend and to be a part of. And our next one that we have is the crime and public safety
Yep.
panel. When
And
is
you
it?
get that on Wednesday, April 8th, and that's 11:30 to 1 o'clock at Innsbruck. Over there. Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
so
Luke,
you
give
can
us
go-
the website again so we can keep embedding it in everybody's brain
Yep.
as they're driving or listening to us.
Yep, that's www.legacyfdn.org.
And Kelly, you know this, one of the signature stamps of this broadcast, there has to be at least one tough question, I call it the Larry King, Joan Rivers question.
Uh-oh.
This is something that keeps me awake at night, and I do worry about it. I mentioned that I'm on a board. I said I wasn't a spring chicken at age 55. We do have some young folks here in the studio. We have Luke, again, recent graduate, 23. Adriana, our producer's about to graduate. I know them.
Tony Panek.
Tony Panek is already past his 35. but
Zooming on the gray hairs.
as well. But I'm thinking of Adriana and Luke as far as I know what they do for the community, for community service. Honor Society is one of the check marks of character service. Do you worry, and give us a glimpse, not that you have a crystal ball, but I worry about the future of what is that word philanthropy. Someone who's been blessed and then making sure you return that and put it back into the universe. I often wonder that we reach a point where there isn't as much of that, or maybe we're otherly focused in this I world of. Do you ever worry about that, or trust me, no, looking around, there's plenty of that out there, or no, it's like a garden, it has to be groomed and cared for.
Yeah, I do worry about that, and but then I have this vantage point of being able to see our scholarship applicants and sitting in on interviews or reading through their essays and the applications, and I am so amazed. If you ever need a dose of inspiration, volunteer for our scholarship committee.
Really?
Because these kids are amazing, and they're so socially aware, so much more socially aware than I ever was at that age.
Sure.
And have such a concern and I think care about their community and the environment and the world that they live in. And so when I see these kids at 17, 18 years old that are really
then there is a new chapter out there
I
that
think
is
so.
right.
I
And
think
and
so.
for any moms or dads or teachers that are listening, that is one thing just to keep in mind. So we know Legacy, I mentioned headquartered in Maryville, then we talked about, gosh, there's all these varied scholarships that are very nuanced. Golf, or I mentioned the one that's down south that's affiliated with myself, is folks that would have been a part of this high school area that they've gone to. Somebody hearing this, you can only live in Lake County to apply or be a part of anything of these, or no, there are some certain things that have a wider net because of what their specific focus is, or no, Legacy only manages things that are for Lake County folks with those zip codes.
We have some partnerships. For example, we are part of an initiative. We received $20 million about just over a year ago for a regional project.
Okay.
So right now we're calling it NWI Thrive. However, we are working on branding, so
like
it might
that.
not always be NWI Thrive. But basically, it's a project focusing on the Marquette Greenway, which is the trail that connects from Chicago all the way to Michigan, going along the lakefront, and looking at the South Shore train stations and the double tracking project, and being able to connect from the South Shore to the trail system, from the communities and residential areas to the trail. So helping to build up that Marquette Greenway connection, and that'll also involve some, kind of signage and helping enhance the art along the stations. So we're
Probably
working
some
on
history
that. And
panels and some things so you have some facts to learn along
Yeah.
the trail
So
as
when-
well.
And you
And
got
when
some
people-
maps there too online if you want to check out that project as well too.
As it's
Yeah.
unfolding, so
Yeah.
you're keeping it will be updated again through the website.
Yes. So when people get off the train into Northwest Indiana, they'll be able to look at these interactive kiosks that'll show them where can they go in Northwest Indiana, what businesses, where there's trail
That's great.
access.
And that spans
and
several counties I can see just from the
Yes.
map I'm looking at
Lake
here.
Porter and LaPorte.
Okay.
So we're partnering with the community foundations in those counties and with the Northwest Indiana Forum and the Regional Planning Commission.
Oh, great. It's a go team effort.
Yes.
Well, and again, we are fortunate. I mentioned we have. I myself always worry and concerned about those who are giving back and making sure that our communities thrive. There is more assets and dollars a lot of times up north where we have more industry. As we get farther south, like where I'm from in Stark County, it's more rural, it's agricultural. There may not be quite as many opportunities. That's why we're so fortunate each of these foundations exist. If you're somebody who's listening and you're confused and thinking, now, which one is legacy? Because there are so many out there. There are, John Anderson Fund is a great, they do a lot and based kind of more of Valparaiso. There are family ones like Dean and Barbara White, correct? There's Community Foundation, which we're familiar with our own theater operations and things. I always know legacy because I love that wonderful logo that is a branching out tree that really captures, I think, all that you do. So I've said this before to you, but my hat's off to you for that wonderful logo. It is a brand and a stamp that it really does live on, and it's ingrained in the brain.
Yeah, everybody knows our tree.
The tree.
For sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, a T-shirt with a tree on it. Yeah.
Is there anything that we've forgotten? I know our mutual friend and guest, who's also under the umbrella of Legacy Foundation, Donna Catalano, when she's here, just as I'm ready to close, she'll say, but wait, I have a few more things on my list. Anything else we want to make sure we cover that we haven't talked about yet? I know we're sending folks to the website, but here's our opportunity as we start to close.
Yeah, so I do want to mention that I talked a little bit about the grant that we have open right now, the application. Those are funded by the community for the community. So we're not a family foundation or a corporate foundation where, we have that. We're locally supported, and so that is done through donations, unrestricted donations to Legacy Foundation. And right now, I talked about Lily's first gift initiative in 1991. Right now, we are in the midst of Lilly Endowment's 9th gift initiative. So that's, and through that, they're offering a 2-to-1 match on unrestricted donations. And so any unrestricted donations that come to Legacy Foundation will be matched 2-to-1. And so that means if you donate $100, that turns into $300.
That is so wonderful.
And those are the donations that go to support the community grant making, and it's there to be able to also be, we can then adapt to the greatest challenges of the time, whether it's now or 5 years from now. It's really the greatest source to be able to have funds that can help support the greatest needs of our communities.
Absolutely. Think how that quickly that compounds. A $100 donation, as in 300, put it part of the overall fund as that's invested. And again, I love that symbolism of the nest. And as you feather the nest and it grows, and you get an egg that lays there and it hatches, it just continues to expand, and it gives back so much more and reaches so much farther than just here. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. Anything else on our checklist today? Other than I know that website again, please.
Stay tuned. So we will be announcing. We have a couple of big initiatives, new initiatives that we'll be announcing in the next couple months. So
exciting.
hopefully I can come back
Oh.
soon and
Please.
announce those. But to just give a little sneak peek, I can say that Legacy Foundation was approved to launch a Lake County Press Forward chapter. Press Forward is a national movement to support local news and journalism. And
Hey.
This is good. This is very good.
and so we are going to be launching a Lake County chapter, and that will be to help build the news journalism ecosystem because it's struggling right now.
It is. That is it's so important. And I know there's information, there's content. I know, Adrian, even when I was just teaching at Purdue all those years, what used to be called journalism suddenly became writing content for the media, which sounds so cold and just filling a space where we know journalism is branded ethical. It is knowing what conflicts of interest is so that you get both sides of the story. These sound like all the things that will be represented as the platform to push further. So we'll be excited to hear details about this.
So we will be announcing a launch event soon, and stay tuned.
You're in the perfect space for it in this new studio. We thank you so much. One more time, that website for us.
Yeah, it's www.legacyfdn.org.
Very good. And Kelly, we're going to mark our calendars and have you back just around the corner again. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It was great seeing all
And
of you.
thank you,
great to have
co-host, to Tony Panek, Luke Miller.
The 9-year anniversary. Of this
That's
show.
right. Today's 9-year anniversary for
Wow.
OfNotoriety.
Who's your first guest? Do we know?
My first guest was really just myself,
Okay.
with Jim Delo as the person doing the engineering, as I kind of got used to just talking about what the topics were. And then I thought, we need more voices than just one person. They want to have guests on each week. So that's when we started reaching out to the community. And gosh, 9 years later,
Wow.
we have a lot to be grateful for, that this studio is here. And again, we have a voice and a microphone to spread the words about wonderful things like our Legacy Foundation. And thanks to you, all of our listeners and viewers, for being a part of our conversation every single week. I'm your host, Phil Potempa, and remember, today's show is stamped on our final day of winter 2026, March 19th. Tomorrow, March 20th, is the first day of official spring. So if you're hearing this as a rebroadcast, we just want to remind you, we hope you enjoy wherever your path might take you, be it morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you. You got to go first.
WJOB Sports Update. My name is Joe Cimino, and with very little going on while we wait for the semi-state basketball and the baseball season to kick off here in the region, I think it's important to speak on what's to come. But first, a reminder on what semi-state games we have to look forward to. The 16-12 East Chicago Cardinals will face the 22nd ranked 23-4 Columbia City Eagles, and the 5th ranked 23-1 Crown Point Bulldogs look to continue their postseason dominance as they face the 24th ranked 20-7 Fort Wayne Snyder. Don't miss the action, as you can watch these games live on the Heartland Sportsnet Saturday, March 21st. It's March in Indiana, which means basketball is in full effect, and although the Pacers are tanking, the Purdue Boilermakers secure a number 2 spot in the dance with a win over Michigan last week, securing a Big Ten title. The Boilermakers